Imagine having to choose between feeding your family or feeding your pet. For millions of people all over the country and the world, this is a heartbreaking reality every day. Some of the stories of pets facing homelessness, hunger, or disease are stories of human cruelty and neglect. Other stories are tragic tales of humans struggling alongside their companions. What if there were ways we could help pets and their humans facing these situations? The connection between human poverty and pet poverty is undeniable and complicated. But if we can understand what's going on underneath the surface, maybe we can be part of the solution. In this fourth episode of our Changemaker Cafe Animal Rescue series, we'll take a look at how human poverty and pet poverty are intertwined, how economic challenges affect pet abandonment and surrender rates, and what life is like for pets living with humans facing poverty. If you missed our other episodes, check them out on our channel for the rest, and of course, our other topics too. As always, you can download our series action guide for resources and tips to tackle these issues in your community, whether you're aiming to start a nonprofit or socially conscious business, serve as a volunteer or board member, raise funds or awareness, and more at changemakercafe.com. Thank you again to Click and Pledge for sponsoring this series. Ready? Let's get curious. Warning. Watching Changemaker Cafe may lead to side effects such as caring a lot, an insatiable desire to help others, growing your skills to change the world, or becoming a leader in your community. For best results, use an open mind and share with all your friends. There are a dozen reasons someone might give up their pet, but one thing's for sure. Economic challenges are increasingly at fault. Even though inflation rises and falls, the Consumer Price Index, which measures the price of everyday things we buy regularly like food or car insurance, shows that prices are up over 20% since the pandemic started. That loaf of bread really did used to be $1 less. So the result is that an estimated 20 million pets in the United States are living in poverty right alongside their humans, according to a poll conducted for the Humane Society in 2024. Wow. Economic downturns like job losses or rising housing costs often lead to increased pet surrenders or pets living in less than optimal conditions. And despite these huge numbers, the same poll reported that only around 1 in 4 Americans were aware of the crisis of pet and human poverty to begin with. Put a pin in that, changemakers, because it sounds like raising some awareness could be a promising first step in tackling this issue. It's not hard to imagine how financial challenges or long-term poverty could in turn lead to higher rates of pet surrenders. Let's say you have a friend, let's call her Maria, and she has a dog, Shadow. Maria has always loved animals. She adopted Shadow from your city's local shelter a few years ago, in fact. But things took an unexpected turn when Maria lost her job last month. Suddenly, she could barely afford rent, utilities, or groceries, let alone Shadow's food and medical care. She looked around for more affordable apartments to rent, but none would allow her to have a dog. Her heart heavy with guilt and not sure what else to do, Maria struggled with her decision for weeks before surrendering Shadow back to the shelter. Even though Maria is our imaginary friend in this example, there's a good chance you know or have at least heard of someone in a similar position. The costs of owning a pet are no joke. Let's take a look. Taking care of one dog or cat can cost on average $1,200 to $2,000 per year, with costs for dogs a little higher than cats. That breaks down to over $100 per month, including food, vet visits, and basic supplies. And if your pet gets sick or requires some kind of special treatment, don't get me started. In the past 10 years, vet costs have risen 60%, with some anticipating costs rising even more as corporations buy out independent vet operations. Curious how much it costs to help your furry friend if they get an upset stomach? Try almost $400. Our imaginary friend Maria surrendered her pet in a legal and responsible way in our story, but unfortunately, this is not the case for all pets. In the face of rising economic challenges, pet abandonment is on the rise too. Pet abandonment is classified as a form of animal abuse and is illegal in most states in the United States. It can carry penalties of thousands of dollars or jail time in some regions. For example, in Texas, pet abandonment could carry a fine of up to $10,000 and jail time ranging from 180 days to 2 years. That's what happened to this woman a few years ago who turned herself in after being caught on camera by a community member while abandoning 4 dogs. Typically, because those who abandon their pets at rescues, shelters, or on the streets or in parks often don't leave a way to contact them, the exact reasons for these actions are a little harder to pin down. Still, though, amidst terrible stories of pets being abandoned, there are many other stories of people doing the best that they can to keep their pets safe and fed, even as they themselves experience extreme poverty. What does living in poverty alongside your human look like for a pet? Well, in extreme situations, animals living in poverty may miss out on routine or emergency vet visits. The Humane Society reports that 70% of pets living in poverty with their owners have never even seen a vet at all. They might lack nutrition and hygiene, or may even stay outdoors chained to trees or posts if the owner's housing lacks proper fencing or shelter. This may not be a desirable solution even for the pet owners if they feel like their options are limited. And the laws on whether a lack of care or shelter could be considered animal abuse vary from place to place, which is one challenge animal rescue advocates face when trying to ensure a pet's well-being. People may not be aware of the laws or may not have the resources to address the challenges they are facing in their pet's care. In some cases, pet owners took on pets after a loved one passed away, or were even trying to help an animal to be kind, even if their own situations were challenging. Friends of Indianapolis Dogs Outside, or FIDO, is one organization trying to help families in these situations by building yard fencing for low-income pet owners or by helping cover the costs of food or other care items.
The concept is to provide emergency assistance with these supplies. What we have found is, there's systemic poverty where we have some people that come only when they need the help. We have a lot of people who come every month, and it's a supplement, so we try to empower people so that we're not giving them everything. And, we tell people it's a supplement. You're probably going to have to buy some more, but at least it'll help. So we do charge a small fee, $3 fee. So it's not just free. There's a little bit of buy-in. And I do think a lot of these people, we hear it all the time that, without this help, I wouldn't have been able to keep my pets. A lot of these people that we're helping didn't choose animals. We do have community cat caretakers that come. A lot of the people have dogs that they took in as strays, or family member left and, went away and never came back, or, was incarcerated, or a family member who died. And so the people are taking in these animals trying to, they're doing the right thing, but they just can't afford it. So I think we've helped keep a lot of animals in the home that otherwise they just wouldn't have been able to.
How do you know if an animal is receiving proper care? Well, many animal welfare and rescue leaders refer to what's called the 5 freedoms as their guide. Think of the 5 freedoms as a checklist for ensuring that a companion animal is being well cared for. They are 1, freedom from hunger or thirst with access to fresh water and a nutritious diet. 2, freedom from discomfort with appropriate shelter and a comfortable resting area. 3, freedom from pain, injury, or disease by providing preventative medical care and timely treatment. 4, freedom to express most normal behavior by providing sufficient space, facilities, and company of the animal's own kind. And 5, freedom from fear and distress by ensuring conditions and treatment which avoid mental suffering. Over the years, there's been a bit of a debate on social media about whether you should be able to own a pet if you're experiencing poverty or financial hardship. What's your stance on this issue? While you might encounter people with different opinions on this, the Humane Society's recent poll actually revealed how people are generally feeling about this question. And it turns out that the vast majority of Americans surveyed, 89% in fact, believe that people should be able to keep their pets regardless of financial insecurity as long as they do their best to care for them and love them. There's a sentiment among many that it could be better in some situations for an animal to stay in a less optimal housing situation than to be sent to a shelter or live on the streets. Stories of people experiencing homelessness while caring for a pet can illustrate the deep bond between humans and companion animals, even as they struggle together. These stories challenge us to examine how pets, when truly loved by their human caretakers, can make lives better for those humans, even as they both endure extreme financial stress. In one study published in 2024, people experiencing homelessness with pets benefited from emotional support, improved physical health, and reduced participation in criminal activities. One study of Canadian youth a few years ago shared how youth experiencing homelessness were less likely to use drugs if they were caring for a pet. Of course, caring for a pet while unhoused carries other challenges because many shelters for unhoused people won't accept pets. A survey by the National Alliance to End Homelessness illustrated that nearly a quarter of people experiencing homelessness avoided shelters because it would mean giving up their pet. What can we do to improve the lives of the animals and people as a result? Well, the welfare and well-being of humans and companion animals are linked. There are a lot of complex issues surrounding human and pet poverty, but there are also some promising strategies recommended by people on the ground that we might help push forward as changemakers. And these are including, for example, making veterinary care more accessible and affordable for the nearly 1/3 of pet owners who don't have access to care by supporting affordable community veterinary centers, especially in low-income communities. Secondly, we can be providing and raising awareness about existing programs for low-income pet owners like Fido's Pet Food Pantry, mobile vet clinics, and free spay and neuter resources. Ensuring that people facing military deployment or long-term medical stays are aware of resources for temporary foster homes is another strategy. Advocating for more pet-friendly housing options is another, and there are so many more. This brings us to this episode's Changemaker Challenge. Here's how to participate. Jump down into those comments, brainstorm, and share your thoughts on a few ways that you might use your unique skills to address human and pet poverty, whether it's helping raise awareness about resources available to pet owners, working to increase access to affordable pet and vet care, or other ways to make an impact. And share all of that in the comments below. I can't wait to read your ideas. In the next video in our animal rescue series, we'll learn more about the lives of the animals who don't make it into the shelters and what animal rescue efforts are doing to help them survive. One more thing, let's give it up for our series sponsor, Click and Pledge. If you are fundraising or part of a nonprofit, listen up, because Click and Pledge is a comprehensive fundraising platform for nonprofits ready to raise that money and grow. Their robust fundraising features include donation forms, in-person fundraising, text-to-give features, peer-to-peer fundraising that allows supporters to form teams and raise money from their friends and networks, video fundraising with donation links embedded directly in the videos, donor outreach tools to improve donor retention, a complete Salesforce integration, and a lot more. Some platforms charge more based on the size of your organization or your donor base, but not Click and Pledge, where the pricing stays the same even as your donor list increases. There are no contracts, and all their solutions are included at no extra cost. Learn more about Click and Pledge's fundraising solutions and get your first month free using the links below this video. You can get in contact with their team to ask questions or schedule a demo, or sign up and give it a try right now. Find the links for both options below. I'll see you for the next episode of Changemaker Cafe.